Okay, guys, we're going to review energy, which we started talking about on Monday. So, who can tell me one of the 4 types of energy we discussed? Bryson, what's one? The windmills. So, wind turbine. The wind turbine, though, is providing energy by mechanical energy because when the wind blows the turbine, that's what's creating the energy, is that blowing of the wind. So the movement of the wind making the turbine move, that's mechanical energy. Okay? That one should be easy to remember because they both start with an M. Mechanical has to do with motion. Oh, what just happened there? Okay, motion. So anything that's moving and gives us energy or causes energy is mechanical. Okay, can y'all give me an example? We said a wind turbine. It uses mechanical energy to then put out a different kind of energy, which is electrical, which we haven't talked about electrical energy. Okay, but the motion of the turbine gets energy from mechanical and then puts out electrical energy to give communities power, right? Is that what y'all read about? Okay, it provided electricity, right? Okay, you got an example, Kaylee? Running. So people okay, what else? Kelsey? A roller coaster. It moves. But some of these things, a lot of these things have to have more than one type of energy to work. So a roller coaster, it has mechanical energy because it moves to go up and down the roller coaster. And then it also has electrical energy because it needs something to get it going, right? To power it. Okay. What else? Can you think of anything else that provides energy by motion? Kelsey, you got another one? Ferris wheel, okay. It has mechanical energy because it has to move. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. Thermal. Thermal has to do with heat. So if it's giving off heat, then it has thermal energy. Okay, what's an example? Aaliyah? Fire. Fire gives off heat. Can that be also a different type of energy, fire? What else can it be? Does it give off light? Can we see when we make a fire? Yes, so it's light energy too. Evangeline? The sun. Good. One more. What's another example of thermal energy? Kelsey? A microwave. Good. We use that a lot at our house. We have to heat up our food, heat up our breakfast in the morning sometimes. If I'm going to eat a sausage biscuit, I got to heat my biscuit up in the microwave. So that's thermal energy. Okay, thermal. Then we have light. What about light energy? What's something that gives off light? And we're just going to go ahead and list examples because light energy is pretty self-explanatory. Gives off light. Bryson? So, moon? Aaliyah? Flashlight? One more. Javea, what's one more? A match. Okay. Can a match give off another type of energy? What else? Thermal, because it gives heat, right? Okay, mechanical, thermal, light, and the last one we've talked about is sound. Sound energy. What gives sound energy or has sound energy? Aaliyah? Radio. Kaylee? TV? And what? Animals give off sound? Okay, let's talk about an instrument because let's just take a drum or a guitar, for example. The sound comes out of the guitar, but what do we have to use? What type of energy do we have to use to make that sound? What am I having to do to the guitar or to the drum to make the noise come out? Mechanical, very good, because I have to strum the guitar, right? I have to move my hands to strum it. For a drum, I have to take the sticks and bang it, right? So that's mechanical energy I'm using to then tap the drum and make it vibrate. And that gives us sound, okay? Now what we're going to do, we're going to go through some situational type things to practice, okay, before our assignment. So let's look at some of these cards. Let's start with the guitar since we just talked about it. Everybody see the guitar picture at the top right? Okay. It says, describe how this guitar makes music. What forms of energy are involved? Mechanical and sound, because like we just said, we needed to strum it. That's motion. And then sound comes out. Can you just put the words on there? What are you talking about? We're not doing that right now. We're just having a discussion. You don't have to write anything. Okay, let's go to the lantern. This lantern burns oil to keep the flame lit. What types of energy are given off? What types of energy are given off when we light that lantern? What do you think, Evangeline? Thermal, good. It gives off heat. And light energy because it provides light for us to see. Let's do the ice cream cone at the very bottom. Everybody see it? Okay. It says, describe how thermal energy might affect this ice cream cone. How does thermal energy affect an ice cream cone? Kelsey? It uses heat. And what would happen? What effect would it have on the cone, on the ice cream cone? What effect? That means what would happen to the ice cream cone? It will melt. Yes. It's going to turn into a liquid, right? We talked about that in science earlier. So let's look at the swing. We talked about a swing when we read our passage the other day. Describe the different ways that mechanical energy is present as the girl swings. Remember, mechanical is motion. Okay, so describe how you see mechanical energy just in a swing or the person swinging. She's moving what, though, to get going? She's moving her feet. Good. She has to pump her legs to get going. Okay, what else? Do you see a mechanical energy a different way? Her legs and what else? Her feet. Yes. Okay. Bryson, did you have something else? Is the swing moving? Yes. Yeah, so not just her body, But the swing also has mechanical energy because it's moving, but she has to move in order to get it going, right? And then keep it going. Okay? Okay, let's look at a couple more. Let's see. What form of energy is given off by a light bulb? Everybody see the light bulb? What form of energy? Evangeline? Light. Can a light bulb also give off thermal energy? Yes, because you don't want to touch a light bulb, especially if you've had it on for a long time. It's going to burn your hand. Okay? Explain how mechanical energy is involved in this picture. And we're looking at the very bottom. Here, let me zoom in. Let me see. There we go. What is going on here? Oh, something's falling. Explain how mechanical energy is involved in this picture. What do you think, Bryson? It's just like a vase or a jar falling. Evangeline? Evangeline? Oh, okay, good. She wanted to add sound energy since it's falling and hitting the ground, the floor. But it says explain how mechanical energy is involved in this picture. What is the motion that's happening? Go ahead. The bottle's falling. So somebody must have pushed it or accidentally bumped it, or maybe the wind blew it. So there's motion to get it to fall, right? Okay, the lighthouse. Let's do the lighthouse and the microphone, and then we'll go on to our assignment. The lighthouse says sailors use lighthouses to keep them from running their boats into land. What are some other ways we use light energy to prevent accidents? Ooh, that's a good one. Light. Think about that. Light energy to prevent accidents. Lighthouse gives off light so sailboats or other boats don't run into the land because they can't see when it's dark. Evangeline? Oh, but listen to the question. I didn't say what types of energy. We already know the energy. We want to know what are some other ways we use light energy to prevent accidents. Think about when you're in your car. When you come to school, what do you come to? What do you come to so you don't have an accident with another car? Nobody knows? Besides Evangeline? When you're driving to school, your mom and dad might see a flashing light. They might see a red light, green light, yellow light. What is it called, Evangeline? I'm just talking about a traffic light, guys, a stoplight. Is that light energy? Does it help us not get in an accident? Yes, because imagine if that wasn't there, okay? Everybody would just all be going and turning at the same time, okay? Can y'all think of anything else for light energy? Somebody said a siren or a tower. But how does a siren help prevent accidents? So the lights flashing are to warn people to get out of the way so you don't get in an accident when there's a Emergency vehicle driving, is that what you're talking about? Like an ambulance or a fire truck? Good. So yes, they have flashing lights. Police officers have flashing lights. It's to warn people to either get out of the way or not run into them because they're on the side of the road helping somebody. Okay, good. Okay, last one, uses of energy for the microphone. Identify at least 3 things you use that have the same source of energy as this microphone. 3 things that you use that has the same source of energy as the microphone. Kaylee. That's what you use? Listen to the question. Identify at least 3 things you use that have this same energy of the microphone. Well, the microphone is what? Sound energy, because when you use it, you're trying to amplify your voice and make sound come out louder, right? So, Kelsey, what do you use that gives sound energy? Oh, good. Alarm clock. Timer will wake you up. So that's a good source of sound energy, okay? That you use every day probably. But you don't use that. You don't use a dog. You don't use a dog for sound energy. What's something else that you use almost every day? Think about the little things that you do in the morning or at night when you get home that has sound that you use. Evangeline. Phone texting. Yep, that sound comes off. It alerts you to check your messages. Bryson. Okay, a timer on a stove. Good, to let you know that the food is done. Gregory, what's another one? A radio. Good. So we use radios in our car almost every day probably. Or when you get home, maybe you listen to the radio, okay? But almost every day you're listening to the sound coming out of the radio. Okay, good. So now what you're going to do, I have 4 cards for that you need to answer basically just like we just practiced. Those 4 cards are posted in Seesaw for those of you listening, and those of you in class, you will be doing the same thing but just a different way. Okay? All right, so you guys here need notebook paper.